إلهي لست للفردوس أهلا ولا أقوى على النار الجحيم.
I hate imperialism. I detest colonialism. And I fear the consequences of their last bitter struggle for life. We are determined that our nations and the world as a whole shall not be the plaything of one small corner of the world.
When Indonesia became independent, Ir.Soekarno called in the ulama. He had the courage to do it. And he asked them about this money. I'm not a scholar of Islam, you are the scholar. Tell me, how can we have paper as money? How can we have paper as money? And the ulama replied to him and said to him, the paper would be halal only if it is redeemable in gold. Meaning you could take the paper and get the gold at a fixed rate.
Proklamasi kami, bangsa Indonesia, dengan ini menyatakan kemerdekaan Indonesia. Hal-hal yang mengenai pemindahan kekuasaan dan lain-lain diselenggarakan dengan cara saksama dan dalam tempo yang sesingkat-singkatnya. Jakarta, 17 Agustus 1945, atas nama bangsa Indonesia, Soekarno.
So I ask in that lecture that all those who hear my lecture, go and ask your scholars of Islam, wherever you can meet them. Even if you can't meet them in person, you can send an email to them and ask them politely so. We don't see this money in the Quran and Sunnah, no. The money we are now using, is it halal or is it haram? And we don't want a private answer. We want an answer that we can publish, okay? So you put some pressure on them. If they say we don't know, you can ask them, well, how long will you take? We want an answer. You can't remain silent forever. No, okay? In the meantime, if it is possible to have money which is redeemable in gold, like Ir.Soekarno attempted in Indonesia, that's why they overthrew him, that the Indonesian rupiah would have been redeemable in gold, and you could go take it to some office and collect your gold, redeemable in gold, then the Indonesian rupiah would have been halal. It's like a check. You can cash the check. Okay? It's redeemable in gold. Perhaps if that can be done, then that would be a solution to the problem. However, they cannot allow anyone to succeed. Because if one country were to succeed, it will bring down the whole monetary system. So they will wait.
That this was bogus. Two governments in the world stood up to defy them. One belonged to this region of the world, and the other was France, General Charles de Gaulle. He recognized that this was unfair, this was bogus, and he spoke in the French National Assembly against the monetary system. And that's why they took aim at him and they got him out of power. Who was the other government? Answer? Ir.Soekarno. Yeah. You're too young to know it. But Ir.Soekarno recognized that in order for money to have integrity, the Indonesian rupiah had to be redeemable in gold. Indonesia has now buried this knowledge below the ground. You can't find it. They don't want people to know it. But Ir.Soekarno wanted the Indonesian rupiah to be redeemable in gold. That you could take the rupiah to any bank and you can get gold for it. If Ir.Soekarno was successful, the Indonesian rupiah would not be in the disgraceful state where it is now. And my daughters would not be slaves. My daughters would not be slaves picking up your garbage. My daughters working for the salary of a slave in Lee Kuan Yew in the Singapore. But who talks about that? So Soekarno took Indonesia out of the UN. May Allah bless him for that. People who have one eye can't understand it. But people who have two eyes would say, may Allah bless him for that. And Ir.Soekarno took Indonesia out of the IMF. Yes, he did. Hugo Chavez is one of my heroes. He's my next door neighbor. I'm from Trinidad, he's from Venezuela. Hugo Chavez tried to take Venezuela out of the IMF and could not succeed and died. But Soekarno took Indonesia out of the IMF. And that's why the CIA had to put their stuntman Suatu and remove Soekarno so that the CIA would rule over Indonesia.
His region.
I hate imperialism. I detest colonialism. And I fear the consequences of their last bitter struggle for life. We are determined that our nations and the world as a whole shall not be the plaything of one small corner of the world.
What I remember Norman telling me, his mission was very simple. Do anything you can, he was told, to get rid of Sukarno. And he was given a budget. It was a matter of hundreds of thousands of pounds.
The CIA had tried to undermine him in the eyes of his people by producing a pornographic film with a body double wearing a Sukarno mask. At least 6 assassination attempts were made on his life. Sukarno blamed the CIA for most of these.
Didn't know he was the third. I didn't know that there was one before him. I didn't know that there was one before Charles de Gaulle. But he's today forgotten. They call him a playboy. Ir.Soekarno was more than a playboy. Ir.Soekarno was more than a playboy. When Indonesia became independent, Ir.Soekarno called in the ulama. He had the courage to do it. And he asked them about this money. I'm not a scholar of Islam, you are the scholar. Tell me, how can we have paper as money? How can we have paper as money? And the ulama replied to him and said to him, the paper would be halal only if it is redeemable in gold. Meaning you could take the paper and get the gold at a fixed rate. So the paper will be like a check. So Ir.Soekarno decided that the Indonesian rupiah would be redeemable in gold, and he fixed the rate. But the people who want to rule the world, they had made that haram. In the Articles of Agreement of the International Monetary Fund. So they had to launch a coup via a crooked man called Suharto, to get rid of Sukarno. So there were three. And then long later came Najmuddin al-Bakan in Turkey. And if this lecture were to reach you in Turkey, I want you to remember Najmuddin al-Bakan, because that was the last leader you had. That was the last leader.
Cinta Muhammad. Jikalau benar-benar engkau merayakan Maulud Muhammad bin Abdullah, jikalau benar-benar engkau merayakan Rasulullah yang punya hari Maulid, kerjakanlah apa yang Dia perintahkan, kerjakanlah apa yang agama yang Ia bawa, kerjakan sama sekali, agar supaya benar-benar kita bisa berkata, kita telah menerima api daripada agama yang dibawa oleh Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Saudara-saudara, mari berjalan terus di atas dasar-dasar kenegaraan kita. Berjalan terus sebagai umat Islam di atas dasar-dasar ajaran agama Islam. Berjalan terus, dan memang telah dijanjikan oleh Tuhan. Janji oleh Tuhan kepada kita. Jikalau kita berjuang benar-benar di atas dasar agama, kita akan menang. Janji Tuhan, bukan sekadar apa yang kita dengarkan dari orang klinik. Tidak, saudara-saudara. Kita ingin menjadi satu bangsa yang seperti tiap hari digembleng oleh keadaan. Digembleng, hampir hancur lebur, bangun kembali. Digembleng, hampir hancur lebur, bangun kembali. Hanya dengan jalan demikianlah kita bisa menjadi satu bangsa yang benar-benar bangsa otot kawat balung besi. Orang tegas, papak palu de pandai. Apalagi orang tegas di paning purindo. Hanya jikalau kita mengerti dialektik daripada perjuangan. Jikalau engkau umat Islam yang sejati, engkau harus senang selalu digembleng. Senang selalu up and down. Senang bahwa engkau tidak selalu mengalami senang saja, tetapi harus merebut memperjuangkan kesenangan itu. Sebagai diucapkan oleh firman Tuhan, Inna ma'al usri yusra. Pahit dulu, nanti senang. Berakit-rakit dahulu, berenang-renang ke tepian. Bersakit-sakit dahulu, bersenang-senang kemudian. Jikalau kita mengerti akan dialektik ini, barulah saudara-saudara kita bisa menjadi bangsa yang besar.